Juniper. Words failed me as I watched Nathan and Moira locked in a kiss, his participation unmistakably voluntary. The sight shouldn't have shocked me. Moira targeting Nathan made perfect sense on paper. She was head cheerleader, he was the football team's rising star. A textbook high school match. Yet something felt fundamentally wrong. Nathan knew exactly who Moira was. He'd witnessed her cruelty toward me firsthand, understood her nature as a bully. His recent coldness since learning about Asher and me becoming official was one thing, but this, dating someone who deliberately hurt me, seemed calculated, vindictive. "Is this some twisted nightmare?" I whispered, unable to tear my eyes away as they finally separated. "No, you're watching a complete idiot," Asher growled beside me, jaw clenched tight enough that I could hear his teeth grinding together. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. Even angry with me, would Nathan really align himself with someone who'd tormented me? If our friendship meant so little that he'd punish me this way for choosing Asher, perhaps he'd never been a genuine friend at all. He couldn't possibly date her knowing what she's done to me, could he? I wondered aloud, the hurt evident in my voice. "Is that seriously all you're concerned about right now?" Asher's wide-eyed stare bore into me. "I'm just worried she's using him," I replied, confused by the strange intensity in Asher's expression. "I'm gonna go get a drink." Asher walked away. I considered following him, but something in his departure made me pause. The absence of an invitation, or his usual gesture of taking my hand, told me everything I needed to know. He wanted space. A chill ran through me as his figure disappeared into the crowd. His thoughts remained a mystery, but his need for distance was unmistakable. "I'm surprised to see you standing here on the dance floor by yourself," Axel's voice came from behind me. I spun around, abandoning my vigil of his brother's retreating form. "Asher went to get us something to drink." My voice pitched unnaturally high, carrying the tone of someone caught in wrongdoing, though I couldn't understand why I felt guilty. Scanning the dance floor, I became aware of the curious glances directed at me, a stationary figure amidst the moving bodies. "Looks like I arrived at the perfect time to rescue you from solitude. Care for a dance?" Axel extended his hand. I properly noticed his attire then. His signature leather jacket covered a purple shirt that matched my dress with uncanny precision. The jeans he wore created an intriguing blend of formal and casual elements. My eyes searched once more for Asher, but he had vanished completely into the sea of people. "I'd love to dance." Asher stared at Juniper, my lungs refusing to work. The words, "I love you," hung between us like an invisible wall, and her face, God, her face showed nothing but shock, and what looked like nausea. Yes, our relationship was young. Logically, I shouldn't have spoken those words this early, but Juniper wasn't just anyone. She was exceptional. I understood we hadn't shared months of history in her mind. I wasn't expecting equivalent depth of feeling, but I was certain she felt something profound. We spent nearly every moment together, and I'd caught her watching me with an expression that had to be love, or what else could possibly explain it? I'd been so sure she'd say those words back, or at least something affirming. Instead, her horrified expression cut through me like a knife. Then Nathan sauntered in, Moira draped over him like a second skin. Maybe their interruption had derailed Juniper's response. Perhaps she'd been about to reciprocate. I wanted desperately to believe this explanation, but doubt had already taken root. My head argued one possibility while my heart insisted on another. I moved mechanically toward the punch table, feeling something crack inside my chest. I refused to let Juniper's silence destroy our entire evening. I just needed a moment alone to collect myself. I filled my cup with punch, taking a sip and feeling immediate disappointment. Not sweet enough. In times of stress, I craved sweetness, that momentary escape where sugary flavors overwhelmed everything else, briefly pushing life's troubles aside. This punch offered a hint of sweetness, but it couldn't dissolve the heavy anxiety settling in my chest. Dating Juniper was both a joy and a constant worry. The nagging fear that she might leave someday never truly faded. She wasn't permanently mine, nothing guaranteed she'd stay. I sometimes convinced myself that if she genuinely fell in love, we could build a lasting relationship despite not being destined mates. But reality wasn't a storybook ending. Life had taught me early that fairy tales remained just that, fiction. Strange seeing someone as good-looking as you standing alone. Moira appeared beside me, helping herself to punch. She lingered deliberately, unfazed by my obvious repulsion. "I'm not in the mood to talk, Moira," I told her flatly. "Why so grumpy? Night's just beginning." She edged closer, her overpowering perfume invading my space like a toxic cloud contaminating everything nearby. "I know excellent ways to help men unwind." I stepped back, creating distance. "Is that your technique for getting Nathan to bring you tonight?" Nathan's youth and inexperience made him vulnerable to manipulative individuals like Moira. I felt compelled to intervene before his relationship with her deteriorated further. "It's only natural that I, the head cheerleader, would be with Nathan, our wolfball champion," Moira declared coldly. "He's finally shown good judgment by choosing what's best for him instead of wasting time with worthless people. Perhaps you'll eventually realize that Juniper is merely using your status, not genuinely caring for you." Her tone turned glacial when mentioning Juniper. "What drives your hostility toward her?" I questioned. Juniper had attempted to explain their history, but the details never quite aligned. She sincerely believed Moira had been a friend for years. "I despise how everyone portrays her as flawless," Moira spat. "They see this sweet, innocent facade, but she's just working twice as hard as everyone else to conceal her imperfections." "Juniper is genuine. Perhaps instead of directing your energy toward destroying her, you should examine your own shortcomings," I retorted. "And keep away from my brother. He doesn't need someone like you corrupting him while he's still developing his identity." As I attempted to leave, Moira seized my arm, her nails digging painfully into my skin. "Maybe focus less on me and more on what your girlfriend is doing behind your back," she hissed, refusing to release me. "What are you saying exactly?" I questioned, knowing Moira's reputation for deception. Still, I couldn't dismiss the nagging feeling that something wasn't right with Juniper lately. She'd erected an invisible wall between us, keeping me at arm's length emotionally. "Haven't you seen how she looks at Axel? They're sneaking around, making you the joke of the situation." Moira's mouth curved into a smug grin, her eyes flashing with calculated malice. "That's not true." The words barely escaped my throat. I wanted to reject Moira's claims outright, but they crystallized several confusing incidents. The night of the party when Axel conveniently rescued Juniper from Josh. Their suspicious disappearance to the roof where they spent time alone before I located them. Then there was that private hallway conversation that ended with her agreeing to dance with him. Despite my reluctance to trust Moira, these moments had ignited my jealousy for good reason. "I can prove it." She navigated through her phone to a video showing Juniper and Axel at the mall. They were laughing together, an undeniable ease between them. Juniper touched his arm with a familiarity that stabbed at me, her smile more genuine than any I'd seen recently. "Deny it now, and you're just deceiving yourself." A cold numbness spread through my fingers as the reality of their betrayal hit me. All this time, I'd convinced myself I was being paranoid, that my jealousy was irrational. I'd trusted both Juniper and Axel completely, believing neither would ever betray me like this. Juniper became my girlfriend. She devoted almost all her free time to me, when she wasn't with Axel. It made sense now why she never returned my profession of love. Her attention was divided. "I attempted to caution you earlier, but you refused to hear it," Moira stated flatly. "There must be some logical reason for this," I countered, though my voice lacked conviction. The thought of Juniper betraying me, with my own brother, seemed impossible. The Juniper I'd come to know stood up for those she valued. Deception wasn't in her character. And despite his rough exterior, Axel did care about me, even if he rarely showed it. Moira gave a dismissive shrug. "Believe whatever helps you sleep. Update me on how that works out." She walked away victoriously, leaving me standing there embarrassed. I scanned the dance floor searching for Juniper. Though Moira's revelation stung with probable truth, Juniper deserved the chance to defend herself. She at least warranted a discussion. When I finally spotted Juniper among the dancers, my drink nearly slipped from my grasp. Axel had his arms wrapped around her, twirling her across the floor. The moment I'd stepped away, they'd gravitated toward each other, like two lovers seizing an opportunity for connection behind my back. "Juniper, I'm still amazed you can dance this well," I remarked as Axel guided me through a skillful turn on the dance floor. His hand rested firmly on my upper back while his other hand held mine. Though we danced together, he maintained a deliberate, respectful gap between us. The contrast with how Asher held me while dancing was stark, and I appreciated Axel's consideration. The mere thought of Axel holding me closer made my mind fuzzy with discomfort. This was appropriate, the proper distance between friends. Did you really expect someone from one of the country's most prestigious families to skip dance lessons growing up? Axel responded with a single eyebrow raised in amusement. I just figured you'd find ways to escape those classes, I countered. Axel released my waist, spinning me outward with precision. As he twirled me back, he raised his arm so I could spin underneath. When I nearly stumbled into him, he caught me smoothly, but quickly resumed our previous proper positioning. Dancing appeals to me, he explained. There's something therapeutic about surrendering yourself to the music's rhythm. His movements remained effortless as he led me through steps I barely understood. And it certainly helps charm women, I said with a teasing smile. I meant nothing significant by the comment, but Axel's eyes darkened as he looked down at me, as though my casual remark had issued some sort of challenge. That might be a side benefit, he replied coolly, but I don't pursue women who are already in relationships. I glanced away, moistening my lips nervously. I didn't mean, I know we're just friends. The admission caused a dull pain in my chest. Despite my contentment with Asher, a small voice inside whispered of other possibilities. Friendship trumps romance anyway, Axel stated matter-of-factly. His comment caught me off guard, drawing my gaze back to him. How's that? Friends stick around through everything. Romantic relationships come and go. As your friend, I'll support you no matter what happens. Are you suggesting Asher and I won't last? I challenged him, eyebrows raised. Axel laughed softly, shaking his head. I want nothing but happiness for you two, but realistically, not all relationships endure. If things ever fall apart with Asher, you'll still have me to lean on. Is that so? Asher's voice thundered as he suddenly appeared, violently pushing Axel away from me. Asher! I exclaimed, startled by his unexpected aggression. Stumbling backward, Axel regained his footing and stared at his brother incredulously. Dude, what the hell? You, Asher spat venomously. Asher, what's happening? I asked, confusion washing over me. His face was flushed crimson, eyes wild with fury. Beta energy radiated from him in chaotic waves. I'd noticed his displeasure when he abandoned me on the dance floor earlier. But this was entirely different. His rage toward Axel seemed disproportionate to a simple dance between friends. I need a better explanation than that. I'm clueless about why you're so worked up, Axel said, his tone flat. You claimed associating with Juniper was a mistake. You wanted nothing to do with her. All lies, weren't they? Just trying to distract me while you schemed behind my back to take her from me. Asher's sleeves were rolled up, veins protruding from his clenched hands. I told you I reconsidered and wanted friendship with her. There's been no sneaking around, Axel replied, maintaining his composure while facing his brother. Asher, what's wrong? Why this anger? I attempted to approach him but froze when he pointed at me with a hostile glare. Your dishonesty will be addressed later, Asher hissed. I retreated, feeling a sharp pain pierce my chest as if his words had physically struck me. Whatever your issue is, that's no way to speak to your girlfriend, Axel stated, stepping toward me. Asher immediately intercepted, placing himself as a barrier between us. Axel's expression hardened, his posture becoming rigid. My issue is your fake support of Juniper and me while secretly trying to seduce her. You couldn't stand that I got the girl, so you had to destroy it, Asher growled, his voice low and threatening. A circle of onlookers formed around us, their hushed conversations peppered with the word fight as they speculated about the unfolding drama. I've never betrayed you, Axel insisted, his voice steady. Your relationship with Juniper makes me happy, and I wouldn't sabotage that. Axel spoke the truth. Despite occasional moments of tension between us, he always maintained boundaries, respecting that I belonged with Asher. Then deny having feelings for her, Asher challenged, his body trembling with rage. His unfounded certainty about our supposed betrayal both frightened and wounded me deeply. My personal feelings are irrelevant to what actually happened, Axel replied in an unsettlingly calm tone. Juniper is your girlfriend, and I respect that line completely. Asher lunged forward, shoving his palms hard against Axel's chest. Bullshit. I've seen the video evidence. What video are you talking about? I demanded, trying to position myself between the brothers. This conflict was tearing me apart, especially since I had no idea what supposed proof Asher believed he had. Stop pretending innocence, Asher snarled at me. Get control of yourself, Axel commanded, still refusing to retaliate despite Asher's repeated physical provocations. How can I be calm when you two are sneaking around behind my back? Asher shot back, his eyes wild with accusation. As I grabbed Asher's arm to stop him from pushing Axel again, he jerked away violently. His elbow smashed into my nose, sending a wave of sharp pain across my face. I stumbled backward, caught off guard by the impact. Axel's expression transformed instantly, his features contorting with rage. You bastard! He roared, lunging at his brother with clenched fists. How dare you hit her? It was an accident, Asher protested, his eyes wide with horror at what he'd done. Axel paid no attention to the explanation. He swung his fist directly at Asher's jaw, connecting with a solid impact that made the crowd around us erupt. Fight, fight, fight! The students chanted, forming a circle around the brothers. Axel prepared to strike again, his body tense with fury. But Asher seemed to have lost all will to continue the confrontation. He stared at me, his face a mask of shock and regret at his own actions. Enough! The commanding voice cut through the noise, silencing every student instantly. Both brothers froze mid-motion, the color draining from their faces. Ethan forced his way through the crowd of onlookers. When he broke into the circle of students who had been encouraging the fight, the music abruptly stopped, leaving a heavy silence. His hard gaze shifted between his younger brothers. When I agreed to chaperone this dance, I never thought I'd have to stop my own brothers from fighting. What's wrong with you two? Ethan's disappointment was palpable as he shook his head, resembling a father confronting his unruly children. Then his attention turned to me, his expression softening considerably. Juniper, are you okay? I probed my nose gingerly. Still tender, but no blood. A silent nod was all I could manage toward Ethan as shock paralyzed my voice. Asher's outburst left me bewildered. I knew the physical contact was accidental, but his accusation of infidelity crushed something vital inside me. Ethan approached with an extended hand, pulling me upright. His intense gaze examined my face with uncomfortable scrutiny, his proximity sending my pulse racing. Let's get some ice for that, he stated matter-of-factly. Asher took a hesitant step forward, his expression crumbling into remorse. June, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean. Back off, Ethan cut in sharply, positioning himself between us like a human shield. You've lost the right to approach her right now. Asher's attempted protest died under Ethan's severe glare. His eyes, wide and pained, locked with mine briefly before he turned away, pushing through the crowd of onlookers. Watching him retreat, my lungs seemed to forget their function. This unresolved tension couldn't stand. I raised my eyes to Ethan. I need to speak with him. Not alone, Axel interjected, his voice still tight with anger, clearly not meant for me. He wouldn't hurt me deliberately, I insisted. I have to understand what triggered this. Ethan acknowledged my determination with a nod. Call if you need me. I broke away from Ethan's hold and headed after Asher. I had to know why he thought I'd been unfaithful. This conversation couldn't wait. The pain in my chest at the thought of him walking out of my life was too intense to ignore. Juniper. I bolted after Asher, panic rising in my chest. The distance between us grew with each second, and I feared what would happen if he disappeared before I could explain. Asher! I called out, my heels stabbing into the pavement as I struggled to move quickly. He kept walking, shoulders rigid with tension. Asher, stop! My voice cracked with desperation. Just go back to the dance, June, he muttered without turning, his pace steady and determined. I pushed myself harder, finally catching up and grabbing his arm. I'm not going back without you. He twisted away from my touch but stopped moving. His eyes, when they finally met mine, were cold. Why do you care? Axel is there. Just go back to him and forget about me. What is your problem? The words burst from me, sharp with frustration. My problem is the way you and Axel have been sneaking around behind my back, he shot back. Moira showed me the video of you two at the mall on your little date. Don't act stupid. He raked his fingers through his hair, agitation evident in every movement. Just tell me the truth. Do you love Axel? Moira? Of course. Her threat to take everything away was playing out exactly as she'd planned. I never imagined she could drive such a wedge between Asher and me. He'd promised to stand by me no matter what, and now I felt like a fool for believing him. No, I stated firmly. My feelings for Axel were complicated. I valued his friendship deeply, but I wasn't in love with him. Then do you love me? Asher's question came with an intimidating step forward as he towered over me. What? I was caught off guard by his directness. When I told you I loved you, you looked physically ill. Then I discover you've been secretly meeting with Axel behind my back. Axel and I have nothing going on. I went to the mall as I told you. We happened to meet, and he helped me shop for a dress, just friends spending time together. Nothing more, I promise. I should have mentioned seeing Axel immediately. I had planned to tell Asher but didn't follow through. Never did I imagine he'd discover it this way or react with such intensity. This angry, suspicious Asher was a stranger to me. If it was innocent, why hide his presence? Asher persisted, clearly unwilling to drop the subject. I don't know. I admitted weakly. Do you have feelings for him? His face hardened, jaw clenched tight as he held his breath, awaiting my answer. I knew a simple denial would end this confrontation. But lying directly to Asher felt wrong. My emotions toward Axel were complex and puzzling, yet undeniably present. My heart pounded as I realized there was no gentle way to convey this uncomfortable truth. There's this strange connection I have with him, I confessed. Like an invisible thread linking us together. I couldn't make sense of it initially and tried resisting, but it's undeniable. I see. Asher's brief response hung in the air as he turned and began walking away. I lunged forward, grabbing his arm and planting my feet firmly. But I feel connected to you too. My voice fractured, tears threatening to spill. I could sense Asher withdrawing and panic surged through me. And I chose you, not Axel. I wanted us. You provide me security and affection. Why keep this from me? If you'd just been honest earlier. Would that have made a difference? Your jealousy overwhelms you, Asher. I wanted to protect you from this pain while I sorted through my confusion. My fingers dug deeper into his sleeve, terrified he'd disappear forever if I released him. Was Axel aware you had feelings for both of us? He kept his face averted, his words barely audible. Yes. The truth fell between us like a blade, but I refused to deceive him regardless of how much it hurt. His arm went slack beneath my grip. So you trusted him with the truth but not me? I wasn't hiding anything. I was protecting you. I know how this appears, Asher, but I promise nothing happened with Axel since we became official. My explanation sounded empty even to my ears. The hard truth was staring me in the face. No justification would convince Asher that he was my choice. Since we became official? Asher finally turned toward me, his eyes sharp with suspicion. So something did happen before that? My fingers lost all feeling, and I released my grip on his arm. This was the breaking point. Whatever came out of my mouth next would determine everything, and I saw no escape route. Axel kissed me once. It was before we were together. The color drained from Asher's face. Was this before you and I met? No, I admitted, my voice barely audible. It was the day after we met. A bitter laugh escaped Asher. So the same day I kissed you too. We weren't in a relationship then, and it never happened again. I didn't betray you. I wasn't trying to defend my actions, acknowledging that would mean accepting I had done something wrong. But you never told me, Asher said, the hurt evident in his voice. I never demanded a list of every girl you kissed before we got together. I snapped, feeling anger pulse through my veins at his hypocrisy. Yes, I should have mentioned Axel, but you're actually furious about something that happened before our first date. You're upset I haven't reported every interaction with a friend. Do I need to document my entire existence for you? Every single thought? I chose you, Asher. I want you. Why isn't that sufficient? My hands moved to my neck, fingers digging into the tight muscles there. A sense of hopelessness washed over me. Would anything I offer ever be enough for him? You claim you chose me, Asher said softly, reaching out to cup my cheek. His touch momentarily calmed the storm inside me, but the relief was fleeting. If I said those 3 words right now, would that fix everything? I challenged him. The pressure to declare love when I wasn't completely certain frustrated me deeply. I needed clarity before making such a declaration, for both our sakes. I don't know, he admitted. I can't say it yet. Not now. If you could just give me some time, I don't know if I can do that, June. I love you so much it's overwhelming, but discovering all this about Axel. Asher stepped back, breaking our connection. But I chose you. My voice fractured, legs threatening to collapse beneath me like crumbling pillars. I'm not sure that's enough. How can I be with someone who has feelings for my brother? His words struck like precise blows. Are you ending this? My hands trembled violently as he created more space between us. I don't know. I need space, Asher stated flatly. Tonight's revelations are too much. I need to think alone. Don't chase me this time. He turned away and something fundamental shattered inside me. Darkness crept into the edges of my vision as my strength evaporated. My knees hit the ground hard, but the physical impact registered as nothing compared to the emotional devastation consuming me. Never had I felt so thoroughly broken. Except once before. Sudden, blinding pain exploded in my head. I folded forward, pressing my fingertips against my temples, desperately trying to contain the agony threatening to split my skull. Disoriented, I recognized the unmistakable sensation of déjà vu washing over me. The certainty crystallized that I had experienced loss before. Someone precious, long ago when my parents still lived. Who they were and how I lost them remained beyond my grasp, but the recognition was clear. I had endured greater pain than Asher's departure, buried somewhere in my forgotten past. Juniper? Juniper, what's going on? Are you hurt? I remained silent, gripping my head between my palms, unable to form words as pain pulsed through me. She's freezing. We have to get her inside. We can't take her back to the dorm. Asher's there. We'll take her to my apartment. A heavy jacket dropped onto my trembling shoulders. Strong arms lifted me from the ground. Someone I recognized spoke softly near my ear. It'll be okay, Juniper. We have you. Everything will be okay. Axel. What the hell did he do to her? I demanded, stalking back and forth across Ethan's living room like a caged animal. Ethan remained frustratingly composed, focusing on preparing tea. I don't know. He's blocked our mental links, so I can't reach him. I should have stopped her from following him, especially seeing how volatile he was. The image of Juniper walking away from the dance haunted me, though Ethan had convinced me to let her go. Be realistic, Ethan countered. Pouring steaming water over tea leaves, she was determined to go regardless. Trying to stop her would have only created resentment. His calm demeanor infuriated me. How could he act so collected? Juniper had literally collapsed in his arms, sobbing uncontrollably and complaining of pain, yet we couldn't find any physical evidence that Asher had harmed her. Despite my anger, I knew Asher wasn't the type to deliberately hurt women. Even when he accidentally struck Juniper's face with his elbow, his expression had revealed genuine horror and remorse. Still, I couldn't forgive him. He'd attacked me irrationally for reasons I couldn't comprehend, and Juniper had suffered as a result. Are you seriously just sitting there drinking tea right now? I snapped as Ethan settled at the table. He looked up at me, his gaze steady and expectant. What exactly would you have me do instead? His question hung between us, highlighting our shared powerlessness. Juniper was resting in his bedroom, and Asher had vanished completely. I slumped into the seat facing Ethan and clutched my hair in frustration. I'm at a loss. I just need you to make this right. That might be beyond me. If their relationship ended, it's their issue to resolve. Based on what I heard, I didn't think you'd want me facilitating their reconciliation anyway. There was no use hiding my feelings from Ethan. Even if he hadn't witnessed my confrontation with Asher, he'd always had an uncanny ability to see through me. I'm conflicted about my own desires, but I'm certain I want Juniper to find happiness. Even if it costs you yours? Ethan challenged. Absolutely. I answered without hesitation. Juniper's joy took priority. She had already suffered the loss of James, though her memory of him was gone. I kept telling myself I would step aside if she chose Asher. However, after his behavior tonight, I questioned whether I could remain passive. I believed Asher was the superior option. He's always been the one to meet our father's expectations. His academic record is flawless, and he's deeply romantic. I thought if Juniper wanted him, he could give her more happiness than I ever could. But, Ethan urged me to continue. I drummed my fingers against the tabletop, carefully weighing my next words. He denied us both any chance to explain. His jealousy completely blinded him, and he jumped straight to assuming we were sneaking around behind his back. The fact that he could think that so easily, especially when he should have known I'd never crossed that line, that's what gets me. "Are you certain about that?" Ethan questioned. Despite the challenging nature of his words, his tone remained measured and even, lacking any hint of accusation. I recognized his technique. He was prompting me toward self-examination. The desire was there, I admitted. I wanted her to pick me instead of him, but I fought against those feelings, but we never acted on anything. And what about her? Did she share those feelings? My brow creased in confusion. Why does that even matter? Nothing happened between us. Just answer the question. Though Ethan's face betrayed nothing, I knew complex thoughts churned beneath his composed exterior. He'd mastered this skill watching our father, understanding that perfect control over one's expressions was essential to guard private thoughts. Our father could detect the slightest hint of disagreement, even when your words aligned perfectly with his expectations. That's why I'd abandoned the pretense years ago. Fortunately, not being the heir apparent spared me the worst consequences of my rebellion against family expectations. Ethan's dutiful compliance had inadvertently provided me the freedom to resist. I know she felt something for me, too. The confession left a bitter taste in my mouth. It only intensified the sting of her choosing Asher. Despite our mutual attraction, she ultimately recognized who she belonged with. Ethan gave a knowing nod. That's what I figured. Why bring this up? I studied his face, aware that Ethan never initiated conversations without purpose. Every question, every observation served a specific goal. I've been thinking about something. He methodically stirred his tea, his expression shifting to one of certainty. I believe James was Juniper's true mate. You felt it too, didn't you? We were all friends, but James and Juniper shared something unique. They were always together. Even as children, I knew they were destined to become mates when they came of age. His assessment didn't surprise me. I'd harbored similar thoughts years ago. Juniper loved all of us, but her connection with James operated on a different frequency. What confused me was Ethan's timing. James's potential bond with Juniper seemed irrelevant now that he was gone. I think we all sensed that connection, I admitted, waiting for him to reveal his point. Ethan leaned forward, his eyes intense. But what happens when a mate dies before they even discover who their mate is? I hadn't considered this angle before. When werewolves mark each other as mates, they form a bond so powerful that breaking it can be fatal. But I'd never encountered a case where potential mates were separated before maturity, when there wasn't yet concrete proof of their connection. I don't know, I told Ethan honestly. Nobody really does, Ethan said, hesitating briefly, but I've been thinking about something. That day when James changed me, I believe he changed all of us. When he died, I think his bond with Juniper somehow fragmented and transferred to us. My heart raced at this suggestion, almost eager to embrace it. You're saying Juniper is mated to each of us? Not everyone. Nathan wasn't present that day. He didn't witness what we did, and I don't think we're complete mates to her, more like partial mates. The concept sounded absurd. Partial mates weren't something our lore acknowledged. And yet, the theory fit oddly well. It would explain Juniper's inexplicable pull toward both Asher and me. She'd even questioned whether what she felt for me was a mate bond, which I dismissed immediately. I was convinced that since James had been her true mate, she couldn't possibly be mine. But this explained why, despite my best efforts, I could never truly stay away from her. We have to tell her this. She deserves to know about everything. She deserves to remember what happened to her and James, too. We can't keep hiding this from her. I don't care what Father wants. Juniper deserves to know the truth. I'd been reluctant to reveal Juniper's past, fearing it would only cause her pain. But if Ethan's theory held water, she had every right to understand her complete history. I agree, Ethan responded, catching me off guard. I'd expected resistance from him. But we need to be strategic about when we reveal this, because there are forces at play beyond Father's restrictions. What exactly do you mean? Juniper didn't simply lose her memories naturally. A witch cast a spell specifically to make her forget, and if those memories return, there will be repercussions. Juniper. I recognized I was dreaming by the overwhelming sense of security and warmth. Standing in a flower-filled meadow, I heard laughter echoing from all directions. Glancing at my hands, I noticed my youthful skin. As I moved, my body responded with childlike nimbleness. "Juniper, come get me," a young boy shouted. I chased after the voice instinctively, as if I'd been born to follow it. At the forest edge stood a dark-haired boy with striking turquoise eyes. His face brightened when he spotted me. "There you are. What took you so long?" He recognized me completely, and some part of me knew him too. Yet his name remained beyond my grasp. "Who are you?" "Don't tell me you've forgotten me already. Don't you know me?" "I know you, but your name escapes me." I squinted, hunting for memories that should be there but weren't. "It's me, James. Now catch me if you can." He spun around and bolted into the trees, shifting into wolf form, weaving effortlessly between trunks. I attempted to shift too, but my body refused to cooperate, leaving me to chase him on two legs. "James, wait! Don't go!" My feet pounded the earth faster and faster, still insufficient. He vanished from view as I caught my foot on an exposed root, tearing skin from my knee. Junie! 4 distinct voices called simultaneously. I glanced around to see 4 boys emerging from behind trees, all gesturing for me to join them. Despite their childlike appearances, I instantly recognized Asher, Axel, Ethan, and Nathan. Dreams had that strange clarity. "What are you guys doing here?" Ethan approached with an innocent smile that adulthood had long since stripped away. "We're here for you. Come with me." I looked back toward James's disappearing trail, feeling a cellular deep compulsion to follow him. I have to find James. "It's too late. He's gone," Axel stated flatly, stepping toward me. "He's gone somewhere you can't follow," Asher added. "But it's okay. We're here for you." "Juniper." I snapped awake, confusion clouding my mind. The unfamiliar room surrounded me, darkness dominating, except for thin streaks of light breaking through curtain edges. Despite my disorientation, a recognizable smell provided strange comfort in this unknown space. My homecoming dress was gone, replaced by a soft white button-up and leggings. The transition remained a mystery. My memory failed after Asher's departure. That searing pain had vanished, leaving only a hollow void inside me. Pushing aside the blanket, I slid out of bed and into the adjoining bathroom. The mirror revealed a stranger with messy hair and empty eyes. A partially healed bruise spread from my nose under my right eye, a stark reminder of recent events. Asher hadn't intended to hit me, but he had deliberately attacked Axel before walking away from me. His words echoed painfully in my mind. I understood his anger upon discovering my history with Axel. Perhaps I'd erred by withholding that information, thinking it would protect him when it merely detonated our relationship. Maybe earlier honesty would have resulted in the same outcome, his departure, but the wound might have cut less deep. I stepped out of the bathroom after running a brush through my tangled hair, hoping to look somewhat decent. The mystery of my current location still weighed on my mind. Opening the bedroom door, I was immediately greeted by the unmistakable aroma of bacon and eggs sizzling. My bare feet padded quietly across the hardwood floor as I moved into an open space that combined kitchen and living areas. There was Ethan at the stove, casually whistling while maneuvering a pan over dancing flames. I barely recognized him in his white t-shirt and gray sweatpants, a stark contrast to his usual formal attire. His hair hung loose and disheveled, and he moved about barefoot with unexpected ease. Only his distinctive scent and the numerous family photos featuring him and his brothers confirmed this was indeed Ethan's home. I observed him silently, struck by the defined muscles of his arms typically concealed under long sleeves. This relaxed, almost joyful version of Ethan cooking breakfast seemed like an entirely different person from the serious teaching assistant I knew. Attempting to watch without being noticed, I leaned against the wall but accidentally bumped a framed picture, nearly sending it crashing down. Ethan glanced back, his lips curving into a smile. "You're awake." I abandoned my failed attempt at subtlety, biting my lip. "You're cooking breakfast." "I thought you might need food after everything that happened last night," he replied matter-of-factly. dividing eggs evenly between 2 plates and adding several strips of bacon to each. He motioned toward the table with a simple command, "Sit." I obeyed his instructions, feeling as though I'd stepped into some parallel reality. Dressed in Ethan's clothing while he prepared breakfast, it struck me as strange seeing my typically serious-faced teaching assistant looking so relaxed. Yet somehow it felt entirely natural. "Tea?" Ethan inquired. "Only if it has honey and lemon." "Consider it done." Ethan navigated his kitchen with practiced familiarity, brewing tea for both of us. He set my plate and cup before me, then grabbed his own and perched on the table's edge. Our knees touched lightly. His distinctive scent was more noticeable from this proximity. I examined him, questioning whether this might be some lingering dream. There seemed no logical explanation for my presence in Ethan's apartment. "Your breakfast will get cold," Ethan observed, watching me intently, clearly waiting for me to begin before he would eat. "What happened yesterday evening?" I questioned directly. "I was about to ask you the same thing, but didn't want to force the conversation if you weren't ready." Ethan's expression softened before adding, "You don't have to discuss it if you prefer not to." I lifted my fork, examining the eggs on my plate. Logic suggested I should be hungry. Asher and I had planned dinner after the dance, meaning I hadn't eaten in quite some time. Despite this, the mere thought of food made my stomach clench. My body was working overtime to suppress the emotional pain threatening to overwhelm me. I gripped the fork tightly, recognizing the inevitable conversation ahead. "Asher lacks faith in me. He's convinced Axel and I were being secretive. I tried explaining that regardless of my feelings for Axel, I chose him, but he dismissed it as insufficient." Anger surged through my previous numbness, making me want to drive the fork into the table. I'd feared emotional vulnerability with Asher precisely because of potential pain. He promised he wouldn't hurt me, yet he couldn't even discuss matters maturely, instead launching into accusations against Axel without foundation. "Is your relationship intact?" Ethan questioned gently. I shook my head. "Uncertain. He said he needs time to process everything." "Do you still want him?" I intended to respond affirmatively, but found myself speechless. Last night's events had left me feeling solely responsible for our relationship's deterioration. I believed my only option was waiting for Asher to determine if I warranted continued effort. The possibility of me walking away hadn't even occurred to me. While I still had feelings for him, his accusations revealed his fundamental distrust. After witnessing how easily he abandoned our conversation, my trust in him had also eroded. A relationship without mutual trust is ultimately hollow. I don't know. I needed to speak with Asher first. Last night wasn't typical of him, and while I hesitated to throw away our relationship over one emotional outburst, something fundamental had fractured between us. I doubted whether a simple conversation could repair what had broken. "Did he harm you?" Shock jolted through me at Ethan's question. Despite everything, Asher had never made me feel physically threatened. "No, never. Why would you ask that?" Ethan studied my face intently, searching for truth beneath my words. "I wouldn't normally suspect Asher of such things, but when Axel and I discovered you, you were crying in pain. Seeing you in that state was—" He stopped abruptly. "Was what?" I edged forward, urgently needing to hear the rest. Ethan reached forward, gently capturing a strand of my hair between his fingers. "I just want to protect you, Juniper. I know I should maintain professional distance. I'm your TA, and any personal connection puts us both at risk. These rumors would only intensify if someone saw you here in my apartment. But finding you hurting like that, I couldn't walk away. I would have stepped in front of speeding traffic for you then. I still would." My pulse quickened at his declaration. "I'm grateful you found me," I whispered. The atmosphere between us felt charged with something dangerous, and I was torn between closing the distance and pulling away. I licked my lips, instantly drawing Ethan's attention to them. "After finding you in that state, I brought you to my apartment to monitor your condition." The splitting headache returned in flashes as I closed my eyes and inhaled deeply. Everything fell apart when Asher walked away. It shattered me. Then this strange sensation hit me, like I'd experienced this exact pain before, but worse. My head felt like it was exploding. Ethan tensed at my description. His face hardened as he pulled back. "Juniper, there's something you need to know." The sudden shift in his tone made me uneasy. I adjusted my position, uncertain if I wanted to hear what followed. "What is it?" His fingers drummed against the table as he stared at his hand with the intensity of someone about to make a life-altering decision. "You once asked why I feel protective toward you. I said you deserved it, but that wasn't everything. I've known you since childhood. You knew all of us then. We played together, ran around together. I cared about you then and never stopped." Dream images flashed through my mind. I recognized the Burrell brothers instantly, though I'd dismissed these visions as typical dream logic, knowing people's identities despite them looking different. "What are you talking about? I have no memory of you," I said, desperately searching my mind for any trace of the past Ethan claimed we shared. I fixed Ethan with a stunned gaze, as if his words had delivered a physical blow. The revelation hung between us, stark and unwelcome. "An accident wiped your memories? Your parents removed you afterward, and until this school, our paths never crossed again," Ethan said matter-of-factly. "I should have spoken up earlier, but it's not that simple. Just trust me a little longer, and I'll explain everything when I can." My first instinct was to challenge him, to demand what twisted narrative he was constructing. But something in his steady, unflinching eyes stopped the accusation in my throat. The truth was there. Uncomfortable, unexpected, but unmistakably genuine. Juniper. I clutched a cushion against my chest, perched on the edge of the sofa in silence. The revelation that we shared a childhood connection left me speechless. My mind raced, hitting a wall whenever I tried to access those buried memories of Ethan and his family, yet something about it resonated as truth. It certainly explained my immediate comfort around them when we'd first met. "Any questions?" Ethan finally broke the silence. He hadn't commented when I'd pushed away my plate or relocated to the couch. Questions swarmed my head, but one stood out starkly. Why had no one mentioned this before? Every one of the brothers, especially Asher, had multiple chances to reveal this fact. While Ethan asked for my trust now, I couldn't ignore the hypocrisy. Asher had raged at me for withholding information about Axel, yet he'd concealed something far more significant. I met Ethan's watchful gaze. He seemed poised to intervene if I became upset. "Were we close back then?" I asked. Ethan studied me briefly before responding. "Closest friends possible." I nodded, understanding the source of my instinctive trust. "Too bad I can't remember any of it." A soft laugh escaped Ethan. "Yes, it is." "Did you know my parents?" The question surprised even me. I rarely discussed them voluntarily. "I did. They were always kind to everyone, and you'd practically glow whenever they arrived to get you." "They adored you," Ethan explained. "After hearing about their passing, I desperately wanted to contact you, but couldn't figure out how." I gave a slow nod, not comprehending everything, yet aware that seeking further information wouldn't improve matters. A sudden, forceful knocking on Ethan's apartment door cut through our conversation. Ethan immediately stiffened and rose, as if anticipating the visitor. The pounding persisted. "Ethan, let me in." My breath caught in my throat at Asher's voice. I had no idea how he'd tracked me here, but wasn't certain I was prepared to face him. Ethan shot me an apologetic look before approaching the door. He cracked it open slightly, just enough to see Asher. "Take it easy. What's gotten into you? Were you attempting to demolish my door?" "It's about Juniper," Asher said, breathing heavily. "I know about your fight yesterday." Ethan's tone was frigid, laden with unmistakable disappointment. "No, that's not it. I can't locate her. She's not at her dorm, and Moira mentioned she never returned last night. I'm terrified something happened to her. You need to help me find her." Asher's voice broke, and though Ethan blocked my view of him, the desperation in his words made my heart ache. "So now you're worried about her?" Ethan questioned. He kept his foot firmly against the door, deliberately keeping it mostly closed to conceal me from Asher's sight. "Of course I am. I needed to cool off, but I was worried about her. What if Father—" "Juniper is fine," Ethan interrupted sharply. "She's safe and healthy. If she wants to talk to you, she knows where to find you." Silence hung between them for several moments. "How do you know that? Where is she?" "She's safe. She's here, isn't she?" "Asher, go home," Ethan commanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. Any ordinary werewolf would have backed down immediately, but Asher wasn't ordinary. Asher crashed against the door, shouting, "Juniper!" He stormed into the living room but stopped dead when he spotted me on the couch. I sprang to my feet, conflicted about his dramatic entrance. His concern should have touched me, but instead, my hands trembled. After what happened last night, trust was the last thing I felt for him, and I knew I wasn't ready for this conversation. "Thank the goddess you're okay. Why didn't you answer my calls?" His fingers raked through his hair as his desperate eyes searched my face. Rage sparked in my chest. My phone had been the furthest thing from my mind all morning. I hadn't even realized he'd tried to contact me, though I knew with certainty I wouldn't have picked up anyway. "You're the one who asked for time to figure things out," I said through gritted teeth. "You don't get to demand my attention whenever you suddenly decide you want it." Asher's head moved side to side in denial. "That's not what I meant. I was just concerned when I heard you hadn't returned home." "You heard from Moira?" I echoed his earlier words to Ethan. "She lives with you. I thought she might know something." "Why would you trust anything she says?" I cut him off sharply. "You're aware of everything she's done to hurt me, yet after one chat with her you confronted Axel. You accused me of infidelity because of someone actively trying to ruin my life." "There was a video," Asher replied, his voice barely audible. My fury had clearly caught him off guard. He'd probably imagined I would melt with gratitude that he'd tracked me down, like some knight in a fairy tale. "And what exactly did this video show? As I explained yesterday, Axel and I never deceived you. I chose you, and somehow that wasn't sufficient." I felt tears threatening but refused to let them fall. My anger deserved to be expressed clearly, not dissolved in tears. "You admitted to kissing him," Asher exclaimed, gesturing wildly. "Before we were together. Is your jealousy so blinding that you can't recognize reality?" "I want to be with you." I stopped myself. "I wanted to be with you." This distinction made Asher freeze. "June, I know I acted terribly last night. Learning about your feelings for Axel was overwhelming, but I've realized I was an idiot. I love you, and I can't bear losing you." He crossed the space between us and grabbed my hands. "I came looking for you to apologize. I should have handled everything differently." Asher's touch weakened my resolve instantly. The urge to forgive him battled with the fresh wounds from yesterday's abandonment, leaving me torn. "Asher, I don't know." I retreated a step, but his grip on my hands remained firm. "June, please, I love you." "You throw those words around like they erase you, attacking Axel and accusing me of cheating." I yanked my hands free. He reached for me again, but Ethan intervened. "I think it's time you go, Asher." Asher's jaw tightened as he glared at his brother. Then his expression transformed, eyes darting between us before scanning my attire. His breathing grew uneven. "You're wearing his shirt." I glanced down, then back at him. "I didn't have anything else to wear. And you spent the night." The accusation formed in real time across his features. "I brought her back here after you abandoned her," Ethan stated flatly. "It's not what you're thinking. Moira was right about you, wasn't she?" Asher's voice hardened. "The moment you thought we were broken up, you jumped in bed with Ethan, no less." "Excuse me?" I struggled to speak, blindsided by his words. Moments ago he'd been apologizing for his behavior, and now he was accusing me of sleeping with his brother. "You're just like those rumors said, aren't you?" "You'll just sleep your way up to the top," Asher snapped. My hands trembled as Asher's vicious accusations cut through the air like poison. The person confronting me bore no resemblance to the man who had captivated my heart these past weeks. Without hesitation, I struck him across the face, the sharp crack echoing in the sudden quiet. "You accuse me of infidelity when you're the one who attacked Ethan and walked out on me? I never slept with your brother. I collapsed from heartbreak after you left, but I'm finished now." My voice emerged as a dangerous whisper, pain radiating through my chest as I faced this stranger wearing Asher's face. This unhinged behavior went beyond his usual jealousy. He'd crossed a boundary I couldn't accept. "You should leave," Ethan stated firmly. "No," Asher snarled. "I'm staying until I get answers about what happened between you two." I shook my head incredulously. Pushing past both brothers, I headed straight for the exit. "Solve your mystery alone. I can't be around you right now." I bolted from Ethan's apartment without collecting my belongings. After learning the truth from Ethan, Asher's groundless accusations were intolerable. "June, wait," Asher called after me. I quickened my steps, determined to escape him. Yesterday he shattered my heart, but today I felt only rage and betrayal. "Please wait. Stop following me," I shouted over my shoulder. I burst through the lobby doors into the open plaza fronting Ethan's apartment complex. Barefoot and disoriented, I only knew I couldn't return to that apartment with Asher on my heels. The thunderous rumble of a motorcycle drew my attention as Axel pulled up to the curb. I rushed toward him, recognizing my perfect escape opportunity. He switched off the engine as I approached. "Got another helmet?" I asked breathlessly. "Sure do. What's happening?" Axel's eyes darted to Asher, who was charging toward us. "Just need to disappear," I said. "Be my escape vehicle?" "Always." Axel extended his spare helmet to me. "June, what the hell?" Asher demanded. "Told you not to follow," I fired back, jamming the helmet onto my head. "Get on that bike and we're finished," Asher threatened. I gripped Axel's waist and mounted the motorcycle. Looking back at Asher, I declared, "Consider us finished then." Juniper. I clung to Axel as his motorcycle cut through traffic, the cold air slicing against my exposed neck. I regretted not grabbing a thicker jacket before our hasty departure. We soon hit a deserted two-lane highway flanked by towering pines. I recognized this route from summer outings with Moira and her crowd. It led to that large lake about an hour from campus. Too frigid for swimming except during the hottest months, and even then it was debatable. The distance didn't bother me. It was the weekend with nothing scheduled, and putting miles between myself and Asher seemed like the only sensible option right now. The motorcycle's rumble and the whistling wind made conversation impossible, which suited me perfectly. I needed this silence to sort through the chaos of the past hour. Before our confrontation, I had almost convinced myself to reconcile with Asher. My feelings for him ran deep, possibly even love, and the prospect of ending things had seemed unbearable. Then came his wild accusation about me and Ethan, shattering everything. Juniper assessed her situation coldly. Within a single day, Asher had accused her of sleeping with two of his brothers. She couldn't envision a future where these accusations wouldn't resurface. His knowledge of her connections with his brothers would forever poison his trust, condemning her to misery whenever his jealousy flared. She mentally reviewed her history with Asher, searching for warning signs. His seemingly supportive nature and promises not to hurt her now felt hollow. The incident with Nathan revealing Moira's friend's attack should have been her first clue. His anger about kept secrets suggested trust issues had always lurked beneath the surface. Juniper recognized the contradiction. Asher genuinely loved her, showing his sweet, caring side often, yet his jealousy was equally real, a destructive force that would eventually consume her if she remained. The motorcycles slowed as they neared the lake. Axel veered away from the familiar entrance, taking an unpaved path Juniper didn't recognize. Despite his careful navigation, the bike bounced roughly over the terrain. She clutched Axel's torso until her arms burned with fatigue, terrified of being thrown off. She felt his body vibrate with silent laughter at her obvious fear. Juniper wanted to hit him for finding humor in her terror, but she dared not release her death grip even momentarily. The motorcycle climbed steadily along the winding path, its engine straining against the incline. When they finally reached the plateau, Axel cut the engine and helped Juniper dismount. Without speaking, he guided her toward an ancient metal railing that marked the edge of the cliff. Below them spread a panoramic view of the lake, its waters a study in blues. Juniper's gaze swept across the water, her mind making involuntary comparisons. The crystalline shoreline matched Nathan's clear blue eyes. The mysterious central depths mirrored Ethan's darker shade. Where pine reflections mingled with the water's surface, she saw the storm blue of Axel's eyes. And there, at the distant end where fishing boats clustered in shallower waters, shimmered the exact light blue of Asher's gaze. The thought of Asher hit her like a physical blow. Despite her attempts at self-persuasion that the breakup was for the best, tears formed at the corners of her eyes. Their relationship was over, the finality of it crushed her chest. Axel noticed immediately. His rough hands were surprisingly gentle as they framed her face, thumbs brushing away the escaped teardrops. "Let it out if you need to," he said simply. "I won't judge you for crying. Hell, I can turn around and cover my ears if you want privacy, but don't hold back on my account." The mental image of Axel standing with fingers jammed in his ears while she wailed made Juniper laugh despite herself. She sniffled and fought back the threatening deluge. Something told her that once she started truly crying, she wouldn't be able to stop. I clutched my sides, remembering the bottomless grief after losing my parents. That period had been nothing but a foggy haze of tears. Now, I couldn't let myself spiral the same way over a relationship that had barely taken root. "It makes no sense," I whispered, fresh tears rolling down my cheeks, unchecked. "Asher said he loved me, then jumped straight to accusations. If he never trusted me at all, why pursue me in the first place?" Axel drew me against his chest, his embrace forming a protective barrier that made the world's sharp edges seem distant. "This might not help right now, but I don't think trust was the real issue. Asher's a good person fundamentally, but he's spent his life trailing behind Ethan. No matter his efforts, he's always felt insufficient. When he saw us getting closer, it triggered those fears." "That doesn't excuse his behavior," I said, my voice breaking. "He stormed into Ethan's apartment and declared that Moira's gossip must be true, that I'd just used him before jumping into bed with Ethan at the first opportunity." My composure crumbled completely, tears and mucus soaking into Axel's shirt. If he noticed the mess, he showed no sign of it. "He actually said that?" Axel's tone rose, surprise and anger evident in every syllable. I nodded against his chest. "When he saw me wearing Ethan's shirt, he snapped, wouldn't even let me explain the situation. Axel held me tightly, his entire body rigid with anger. Then he's an absolute fool. He should understand who you are. He should know you better than any of us." His fingers moved through my hair in a gentle rhythm, attempting to calm my continuous quiet sobs. "I can't make sense of it," I whispered. "Asher promised never to hurt me, yet his words cut deeper than anything Moira ever inflicted. I feel simultaneously blameless and completely at fault. Asher is genuinely good, and I keep thinking if I'd just revealed what happened between us earlier, everything might be different." Axel pulled back, forcing me to meet his intense gaze. "Stop that right now. You did nothing wrong. Perhaps we should have told Asher about our situation sooner, but we never acted dishonestly behind his back. And honestly, even with full disclosure, he might have reacted identically. What I'm certain of is that his words to you were completely unjustified. Asher may be good at heart, but even the finest people can make terrible errors." "I don't know if I can ever forgive what he said," I admitted, my heart splintering. Conflicting emotions battled within me, rage and sorrow, guilt and frustration, pain and confusion. Breaking up with Asher felt right, but that didn't diminish the agony of it. Axel's gaze held a mix of tenderness and concern as he spoke to me. "Then don't go back to him. Asher might have good qualities despite his mistake, but you're extraordinary, Juniper. You bring light wherever you go. You deserve someone who recognizes your worth." The sincerity in his voice struck me. I suddenly realized the pattern that had been forming right before my eyes. When I needed escape from Asher's accusations, Axel drove me away without question. When I struggled to defend myself, he gave me courage. When I felt broken, he somehow pieced me back together with laughter and genuine compliments. Most telling of all, even as he confessed his feelings, he still encouraged me to choose what would make me happy, even if that choice wasn't him. I had convinced myself that Asher was right for me because he provided comfort and security. But now I understood those weren't enough. I craved deeper connection, someone who accepted me completely, who prioritized my happiness above their own desires. Someone exactly like Axel. The realization hit me with startling clarity. Why had it taken Asher's cruel accusations to make me see what had been in front of me all along? Even now, Axel refused to speak ill of his brother, simply calling him a good guy who made a mistake. Yet unlike before, he wasn't pushing me back toward Asher either. I crashed into Axel, my lips capturing his in a desperate kiss. His initial hesitation lasted barely a second before he responded, matching my intensity with his own. The bold move snapped something in Axel. He broke away, grasping my wrists to halt my advances. "JJ, I can't. Not like this." "Juniper." I recoiled in horror, mortified by my actions. Like some desperate woman, I had practically thrown myself at Axel, assuming he'd welcome my advances. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, turning away and hugging myself tightly. Fresh tears streamed down my cheeks, the sting of rejection now layered atop everything Asher had already made me feel. Axel moved behind me, his hands settling on my upper arms with gentle pressure. Nothing to apologize for. It's not that I don't want to. He pressed his head against my neck, inhaling deeply. Trust me, I want to. You do? My confusion deepened, thoughts growing hazier from his touch. I didn't want him to pull away, yet he had. Of course I do. I've been thinking about this since first seeing you at school. His lips brushed my neck with soft, deliberate kisses that sent shivers cascading down my limbs. I tilted my head back, offering more of my neck. Then I don't understand. Well, he drew a long breath, his warm exhale caressing my exposed skin. Not like this. Your breakup with Asher just happened. Your heart's still broken. You need healing time. I refuse to be just your rebound while you're getting over my brother. I spun around to face him, looking directly into his eyes. You're not a rebound, I swear. I should have chosen you from the start. Part of me wanted to. I couldn't stay away, but I thought Asher was the safer choice. You said so yourself. I believed he wouldn't hurt me. I know. His voice carried a gentle tone, accompanied by a smile tinged with melancholy. He reached forward, tucking a stray lock of hair behind my ear. But I also recognize you're hurting deeply right now. I'll be wherever you need me, right beside you or waiting patiently in the background. I just want you to take some time to think, because I'd hate for you to have any regrets about us. He leaned closer, his lips barely grazing mine. Because once you're mine, I might never want to let go. I need you to be completely certain. I wanted desperately to be certain, to eliminate that small gap and kiss him properly. Yet, the ache in my chest made me pause. My feelings for Axel were real, but I'd also had genuine feelings for Asher, and that relationship had crumbled. Perhaps Axel's caution was justified. Timing mattered. Okay, I whispered. Can I still embrace you, though? Axel laughed softly, drawing me against his chest. Absolutely. Like I said, I'm here for whatever you need, JJ. I rested my head against him, inhaling his distinctive scent. Fresh tears spilled down my cheeks, but these came from profound relief. Despite my desire to kiss Axel again, the security of his embrace provided something I needed more, a sense that regardless of what happened, he would remain steadfast. His concern went beyond physical attraction. He cared about my well-being. The tears had finally subsided. As I drew back and dried my face, a light wind cooled the wetness on my cheeks, and despite feeling hollow inside, became uncomfortably conscious of my physical state. My stomach remained empty, and my thin attire, suitable for indoor spaces, proved inadequate after the motorcycle ride and standing at the lake overlook. The cold had penetrated my body, and I realized I was barefoot. We should head back to school, Axel observed, reaching the same conclusion. You're shivering. I can't go back there, I replied. Returning to face Moira in my dorm was unthinkable, and staying at Ethan's apartment risked encountering Asher, a prospect that made my hands tremble. Where would you prefer to go? Axel asked. I shook my head, exhaustion clouding my thoughts. No idea, just not back there. Axel removed his jacket and draped it around my shoulders. I have a suggestion, then. What is it? I inquired, expecting no answer. Asher had always withheld his plans, claiming to love surprising me. There's a small motel nearby with an excellent lake view, Axel explained unexpectedly. Breakfast included. We could stay until you're ready to return. His transparency was refreshing. I appreciated surprises, but there was something comforting about how Axel included me in the planning. No guesswork or concern about his intentions. What about school? I asked. What about it? Axel asked, his tone direct. I have class on Monday. As the thought of missing a lecture made me uneasy. Even with a raging fever, I'd always forced myself to attend. We can return in time for your class, or you could take a day off if you're not ready. Missing one day isn't the end of the world. You don't need to decide now. You have time, Axel explained pragmatically. Okay. My voice was small but certain. Axel gestured toward his motorcycle, and I followed without hesitation. Once I was securely positioned behind him, he accelerated. His leather jacket enveloped me in unexpected warmth. For a brief moment, I worried about him being cold, but quickly dismissed the thought. He would only insist my comfort took priority, and truthfully, I welcomed that right now. We rode for some time before Axel decelerated and pulled into a gas station. He parked at a pump and we dismounted together. "Need to refuel," he stated matter-of-factly. "You should grab something to eat or drink. Maybe find some clothes if they sell any." I eyed the convenience store apprehensively. "I don't have money. I don't have anything with me." Without hesitation, Axel retrieved his wallet and extended his credit card toward me. "Get whatever you need. I'll join you shortly." I nodded and walked toward the store, acutely aware of my disheveled appearance, particularly my bare feet. I tried to console myself with the thought that these strangers would never cross my path again. I rummaged through the snack aisle, tossing items into my handheld basket with growing enthusiasm. My hunger finally awakened after yesterday's emotional numbness, striking with unexpected ferocity. I grabbed several drinks as well, then made my way to the limited clothing section. The convenience store offered little beyond sporty t-shirts and jerseys, nothing particularly appealing. At least they had flip-flops, not ideal footwear, but better than bare feet. "Need some assistance, young lady?" A voice suddenly intruded from behind. I spun around to find an older man standing uncomfortably close. When I attempted to step back, the shelf blocked my retreat. "I'm fine, thanks." I shifted my basket between us, creating a makeshift barrier against his unwanted proximity. His gaze crawled over me, something predatory glinting in his eyes. "Don't be so shy. Looks like you've hit a rough patch. I could help you out, if you return the favor." Desperate to escape his attention, I moved sideways, but he matched my movement with disturbing precision. "I don't need help." Now that's just rude. When someone offers assistance, the polite thing is to accept. His demeanor shifted visibly as he straightened his posture, deliberately maximizing his height advantage. The intimidation tactic was obvious. He wanted me to recognize he could physically overpower me if he chose to. The man's scent was distinctly human, and even the weakest werewolf could overpower most humans. Still, I needed to be cautious. Revealing any werewolf characteristics to a human would create complications I wasn't prepared to handle. I said no, I stated with unwavering conviction, my gaze locked directly on his. "Leave me alone now." His face contorted into an ugly scowl as he grabbed for my shopping basket. "Disrespectful brat. Where are your manners?" When he yanked at the basket, I released it deliberately. Groceries weren't worth the confrontation. He stumbled backward, nostrils flaring with indignation. I stepped away, increasing the gap between us. "Funny you mention manners. Did no one teach you that no means no? How dare you?" His face reddened as he dropped the basket with a clatter. "Someone needs to put you in your place." He advanced toward me with clear intent. Axel materialized between us, radiating an overwhelming presence that seemed to compress the air around us. "Reconsider before you attempt to strike her." His voice carried a dangerous edge. The man froze mid-step, staring at Axel in shock. Though his fists remained clenched, prepared for confrontation, his eyes betrayed raw fear. His mouth worked silently, words failing him. "You have 5 seconds to disappear before I make you deeply regret every choice that led you here," Axel growled, his threat hanging heavy in the air. The man scrambled backward frantically, tripping over my discarded basket. He rolled and half-crawled away, desperate to escape Axel's presence. I'd never witnessed a werewolf project their energy toward a human before. I'd seen countless werewolves submit to more dominant ones, but never had I observed such profound terror in response. As the man vanished around the corner, Axel swooped down to collect my basket, quickly gathering the scattered items. I joined him, kneeling to retrieve the last few products. "That was impressive," Axel remarked, straightening up with the now-filled basket. I stared at him incredulously. "What? I completely froze. You had to step in and save me." A knowing smile crossed Axel's face. "No, you didn't need rescuing. I could sense your energy building. You were seconds away from handling him yourself. I just made things easier." He extended his hand toward me. "Ready to leave this place?" Juniper. The downpour began as we drove to the motel. Axel reduced his speed on the increasingly slippery road. By the time we reached our destination, rain had drenched us both completely. Inside the lobby, mounted animals adorned every wall. Their realistic features left no doubt these creatures once lived before becoming hunting trophies. A pair of squirrels perched on the counter, while various beasts from deer to lion stared vacantly from their wooden plaques. Something disturbing lingered in those glass eyes watching us. Most disconcerting was the stuffed wolf suspended above the receptionist. Its presence made one thing abundantly clear: this establishment held no welcome for werewolves. We would need to exercise extreme caution during our stay. Axel immediately walked to the front desk while I hung back, attempting to appear casual as I examined the rustic decorations filling the space. He returned promptly with our keys. "Got us the room with the premium view?" Axel said, dangling the keys with a grin. "Did you really?" "Not at all," he laughed. "But we secured the final available room tonight. We should count ourselves fortunate." I questioned whether fortunate accurately described our situation, considering the unsettling atmosphere permeating the motel. "Don't worry, there are 2 beds, so you don't have to worry about me hogging the blankets." Axel attempted humor, but exhaustion had sapped my ability to respond. I couldn't muster even a fake smile after everything that had happened. "Thank goodness," I managed to say. Axel's mouth tightened into a line, his attempt at lightening the mood falling flat. He carried our meager belongings down the hallway to our second-floor room at the back of the motel. The location offered more privacy than I'd anticipated. I felt immediate relief upon entering. No taxidermy in sight. Just plain walls with a single painting hanging between the 2 queen beds. "I'm going to take a quick shower," I announced, needing to wash away the day. "Take your time," Axel replied, inspecting our accommodations. In the bathroom, I turned on the water to heat up while hanging my drenched clothes to dry. When steam began rising, I stepped under the spray. The water burned against my cold skin, but I endured it, knowing the warmth was necessary after being chilled to the bone. The shower revealed how truly tired I was. I stood motionless under the water, letting it cascade over me, barely able to move. Several minutes passed before I found enough energy to properly wash my hair and body. I emerged from the shower and quickly toweled off, suddenly realizing my predicament. The bargain motel offered no robes, and my clothes remained soaked from the rain. With little choice, I wrapped a towel around my waist, refusing to endure wet clothing again. Cracking open the bathroom door, I froze when Axel's hushed voice caught my attention. "She's fine," he murmured into his phone, pacing the cramped room with tense shoulders. "Well, she's okay, handling it as best she can. Yes, I'm watching out for her. I'll keep her safe. I know." His body stiffened noticeably, voice dropping lower. "No, that hasn't come up. I don't know. What Asher said hit harder, I think. Don't ask me that. I want to punch him for those words. He's your brother, not mine. Save it." Axel exhaled heavily, shaking his head in frustration. Mid-turn, he spotted me watching through the doorway. "Ethan, gotta go." He abruptly ended the call despite the continued chatter from the other end. "Sorry," I mumbled, keeping the door barely open. "Didn't mean to spy on you." Axel's face softened into a smile. "Nothing to apologize for, just giving Ethan an update. He's been bombarding my phone. Apparently texting wasn't enough for him." "Did I create problems?" I asked, guilt creeping into my voice. "Not at all," Axel replied, shaking his head firmly. "He's concerned after your confrontation with Asher. You left without taking anything, and since he has your phone, he had no way to check on you." I shouldn't have stormed off like that. I reflected on my immature reaction to Asher. At minimum, I should have grabbed my shoes and phone before making such a dramatic exit. "Don't worry about offending Ethan. He's weathered plenty of my walkouts, most without valid cause, and still cares for me, even though he's frequently irritating," Axel said. The devotion Axel held for his brothers was profound, and I often wondered if they recognized the depth of his affection. Despite being dismissed as the family rebel for skipping classes and failing to uphold their prestigious reputation, his genuine compassion compensated for his rebellious tendencies. "That's reassuring. Ready for your shower now?" I asked. "Absolutely. I need to get these wet clothes off before chafing sets in." "There's just one issue." My teeth grazed my bottom lip as I hesitated. "Did you use all the hot water? A cold shower is the last thing I need right now," he laughed. "I have no dry clothes to change into, and there aren't any robes." I eased the door open, revealing myself wrapped in only a towel. Axel's gaze immediately dropped before shooting up to fixate on the ceiling, his face flushing crimson. "Oh, Sorry about the awkwardness. I just couldn't bear putting those wet clothes back on, I explained, stepping aside to clear his path to the bathroom. You shouldn't have. Getting sick isn't worth it, and there's nothing awkward about this. It's just... His voice trailed off before he cleared his throat. I'm going to shower now. He disappeared into the bathroom, leaving me alone in the room. I snatched the convenience store bag and flopped onto the bed furthest from the bathroom. Emptying the contents across the covers, I grabbed the most tempting snack and took a bite. The moment food touched my tongue, hunger crashed over me like a wave, as if I hadn't eaten in days. I wanted to devour everything at once. When the shower stopped running, my attention sharpened instantly. I became acutely conscious of Axel's presence behind the door. Moments later, he emerged with only a towel wrapped around his waist. His hair lay flat against his head, so different from his usual gelled style. Water droplets traced paths down his toned chest, following the contours of his muscles all the way to the V shape that disappeared beneath the towel. Enjoying the view? Axel asked. I choked mid-swallow. He'd caught me staring, and there was no dignified recovery possible. Reaching for the nearest projectile, a small bag of pretzels, I hurled it at him. Here, you must be hungry, too. He caught it one-handed, examining the package with a raised eyebrow. Of all the things you bought, this is what you chose to throw. My face burned with embarrassment. I looked down at the snack pile spread before me. Did you want something else instead? His body shifted across the room as he settled on my bed opposite the mound of snacks. Axel dropped the pretzels and surveyed the selection with a thoughtful hum. I reached for something at the same moment he did. Our fingers collided, lingering together. Looking up, I found Axel's gaze fixed on me, his eyes turbulent with unspoken intensity that threatened to consume the space between us. The urge to lean forward and press my lips against his was overwhelming. With only towels and empty space between our bodies, I felt a visceral longing for his touch. The mere thought of Axel made breathing difficult. Deliberately, I grabbed a bag of peach rings and extended them toward him, a desperate attempt to distract myself from pulling him down onto me. Not here, not now. With Asher, I'd overthought everything, constantly questioning if each step was appropriate, if we were rushing, and ended up heartbroken anyway. With Axel, I craved pure emotional response. I wanted to feel without analysis. Your favorite, I said, offering him the candy. He glanced down, confusion crossing his features. Haven't had these since childhood. How did you know I liked them? I froze, realizing my unconscious choice. My hands had moved automatically, guided by something deeper than conscious thought. I don't know. Something in me just knew. So you still don't remember? Axel's shoulders sagged visibly. Ethan informed you that he revealed the truth about my past to me, I stated. Axel confirmed with a nod. I still can't access any memories. It's strange because I sense the truth of it. I feel the connection to all of you throughout most of my life, yet I have no recollection of you. Axel moved away slightly, his fingers toying with the bag of peach rings. His expression tightened with regret. I wanted to tell you earlier. Keeping it hidden felt dishonest. I apologize for my silence. Perhaps we knew each other in another time, I suggested. Axel cocked his head curiously, prompting me to elaborate. You said that to me before. I found it peculiar then. I neither believe nor disbelieve in reincarnation, and though I had no memories of you, something about that statement resonated with me. Maybe you didn't explicitly tell me, but you tried to hint at it. Axel moved closer, stopping just short of my face. I held my breath, anticipating his kiss, my heart racing with a mixture of uncertainty and desire. Axel's wet hair sent droplets cascading onto my hand, creating the only sound in our tense silence. His gaze flickered between my eyes and lips, uncertainty written across his face. There's so much more I wanted to share, he admitted, his voice low. I probably crossed a line even saying what I did, if everything came rushing back because of me. What then? I pressed. Though I'd promised Ethan my trust regarding their silence, I'd bolted from his apartment before getting any real answers. Ethan could explain this better, Axel said, his Adam's apple visibly moving as he swallowed hard. I placed my palm over his, leaning closer. Ethan isn't here. You are. Just tell me straight. Axel briefly gripped my hand before pulling back, creating distance between us. You were our closest friend. Your parents worked for our Fader and the Alpha, dangerous assignments that kept them away for weeks at a time. You lived with our family because Alpha Williams felt responsible for you while your parents risked their lives for the pack. That can't be right, I objected. My parents were just traveling real estate agents. They were cautious about everything. They wouldn't even jaywalk. That's the story they told to protect you, Axel said flatly. You were too young to understand their actual work. What did they really do then? I couldn't help but want to challenge Axel's claims. In my mind, Bob and Chrissa were nothing more than ordinary werewolves, working regular hours, taking me to the park on weekends, helping with homework. They were the epitome of loving parents. Axel's face darkened as he shook his head. Honestly, I'm still in the dark about that. All I know is whatever they did was dangerous and classified at the highest level. If that's true, why did we leave? Ethan mentioned an accident causing my memory loss, but if our families were so close, why separate? My question hung in the air. I should have pressed Ethan for answers when he first revealed this, but with everything happening with Asher, my mind had been too overwhelmed to form coherent questions. Did Ethan share anything else about the accident? Axel's voice grew tense. Nothing beyond what I just told you, I admitted. Axel's grip on my hand tightened, his expression hardening as he seemed to rifle through painful memories. That day remains seared into my consciousness, though I've wished countless times it would fade away. Some days, I even envied your memory loss. He paused, his gaze dropping. You've been through enough today. I can tell you if you're certain you want to know, but it's not a pleasant story. Maybe you should rest tonight and decide in the morning. I bit my lower lip. Torn by indecision, the truth about my past beckoned. What kind of accident could wipe out my entire childhood memories? Why had my parents vanished without a trace? But exhaustion permeated my body and mind, and I questioned whether I could handle revelations that still haunted Axel years later. Tell me, I blurted out before doubt could take hold. Better to face the truth now than live with regret later. Axel's eyes scanned mine, searching for hesitation. Okay. He shifted his position, moving closer to me on the bed. Your parents had been absent for over a week, which wasn't unusual. We didn't have school that day. Can't recall if it was a break or weekend. The weather escapes me too. In some flashbacks, sunshine bathes everything. In others, rain pours relentlessly. He paused, realizing he was stalling. None of that is relevant, Axel said, squaring his shoulders. What matters is Nathan was away at wolfball training camp while the rest of us played outside. We were playing hide-and-seek with Ethan designated as the Seeker. Asher and I headed toward our treehouse while you went off with. His voice trailed off, the unspoken name hanging heavily between us. Axel averted his gaze, the weight of his next words too heavy to maintain eye contact. We used to have another brother. James, I whispered, fragments of my dream crashing into my consciousness with startling clarity. Meeting Axel's surprised look, I added, I dreamed about him, but couldn't place who he was. Axel gave a short nod, then fell silent. Words failed him momentarily. When he finally regained his composure, he continued, You and James went off to the river together. After we separated, I lost track of you both. Then Asher and I heard your scream. His voice cracked slightly. It tore through me. We sprinted to find you, running faster than I thought possible, but we weren't quick enough. By the time we arrived, Ethan was already there. The river water was stained crimson with James's blood, so much blood, and he had you gathered in his arms. When he spotted us, he shouted for us to get help. I stood frozen, but Asher bolted back toward the house. Our father was already en route, making Asher's efforts unnecessary, though I believe Ethan was trying to spare us from seeing the state you and James were in while he mentally contacted the pack for assistance. Axel's voice turned hollow as he continued the painful recounting. Both of you were rushed to the pack doctor, but James couldn't be saved. His injuries were too severe, and he'd lost too much blood. Even his werewolf healing couldn't keep up. You slipped into a coma for weeks. Every day we came to sit with you, me, Ethan, even Nathan. We considered you family, but when you finally woke up there was nothing. No recognition in your eyes for any of us. He swallowed hard. That was the last time I saw you before your parents vanished. I noticed how Axel's complexion had drained of color, his eyes unfocused as if seeing ghosts from the past. At some point during his story, he'd released my hands and clenched his own into tight fists. The metallic scent of blood hit my nostrils. His claws had pierced his palms. "There's something more you need to know," Axel said, his voice barely audible. Every muscle in my body tensed. Learning that James was real, that he'd died in the same accident that stole my memories, was already overwhelming. What else could possibly remain? "We believe James was your mate." The words seemed to cause Axel physical pain as he stared down at his bloodied fists, unable to meet my eyes. "We can't prove it now, of course, but you two were inseparable. You cared for all of us, but what you shared with James, it was different. Deeper." Dizziness washed over me as his revelation took hold. My supposed mate, a boy whose face I couldn't even recall from my dreams, except for those haunting turquoise eyes. I couldn't summon the sound of his laughter or picture his smile. Yet according to Axel, this stranger had been my destined partner, my other half. "Are you sure?" I whispered, struggling to process the revelation that my potential mate was no longer alive. "No," Axel responded promptly. "It's merely speculation, but we all sensed it. Regardless of what activities we engaged in, you invariably gravitated toward James." I acknowledged this with a nod, accepting the harsh reality that I would never confirm whether James was truly my destined mate or if we simply shared a profound childhood connection. Werewolf tradition dictated that mates weren't revealed until one's 18th birthday. With the current scarcity of mate bonds, discovering yours before reaching that milestone was virtually impossible, a 1 in a million occurrence. "What's going through your mind?" Axel inquired after my extended silence. I fidgeted with my fingers, my thoughts racing in too many directions to articulate clearly. "There's an aspect of this situation I can't comprehend. While I could accept James as my possible mate and my deep affection for all the Burrell brothers, even reconcile with memory loss from an accident, something unsettling remained. Why was this information kept from me all these years?" Axel released a frustrated breath, shaking his head. "Trust me, that's a question I've been asking since that fateful day. Perhaps Ethan knows, but he's never revealed the complete truth even to me. All I'm certain of is that our father issued a direct command: never seek you out, never communicate with you again. Despite my typically defiant nature, this wasn't an order I could easily disregard. When the beta of all werewolves issues a command, it carries substantial weight. Then why did you tell me now?" Ethan broke the silence first. When he did, it felt like chains dropping from my chest. "I couldn't keep it bottled anymore," Axel explained, his gaze fixed on the floor. "Hiding the truth from you started feeling like betrayal. I was so caught up in the joy of finding you again that I rationalized keeping secrets. Not my finest moment." His voice remained flat, but tension lined every word. I couldn't determine if it was shame over his concealment or raw grief from revisiting James's death that made him unable to meet my eyes. The dimly lit room seemed to shrink around his hunched shoulders. What struck me with absolute clarity was that these revelations didn't diminish my feelings for him. Strangely, they intensified them. The pain etched across his features awakened something protective in me. Without hesitation, I moved across the bed toward him. My towel slipped away, but modesty seemed trivial against the weight of the moment. I took his face between my hands and pressed my lips against his, acting on pure instinct rather than thought.